Hi and welcome to episode 4 of Branwen's Big Year. It's April and it's the 3rd of April to be precise, and I've come to Cardiff Bay with the beautiful Mary. And we've come to Cardiff Wetlands, which I've never been to Cardiff Wetlands before. It's right in the bay, just on the south tip of Cardiff Bay. And I'm intrigued to see what's here. There's some footpaths through various different habitats and some little rubbings that you can do, which unfortunately we didn't print off the adventure sheets, so we can't do the rubbings. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of birds around. Let's see what is in Cardiff Wetlands. It's Thursday, April the 4th, and we're at Newport Wetlands today, which is an RSPB reserve in the south of Newport. It's a beautiful reserve. I've only been once before, so me and Mary are making the second visitation. And we walked around the sculpture path this morning, which takes you out to the lighthouse and along the coast a little bit before coming back through the reeds. Out on the beach there were some shelducks and some curlews, which are always lovely to see. But probably the kind of feature of the day has been arriving summer warblers. We heard what could have been a blackcap or a garden warbler. I need to distinguish those again. Every year I try and remember the difference, and by the end of the summer I've got it, and then I forget again before next year. We've also had loads of chiffchaffs. They seem to be everywhere. Managed to get some nice footage of a chiffchaff. And yeah, probably the treat so far has been a new one for the list, which is a whitethroat. Hopefully I'll get some better footage of a whitethroat either later or later on this year, because this one was being particularly elusive. We're just in a hide at one of the ends of the reed bed, and I've just noticed something that's become very pervasive throughout the day, which is Chetty's warbler. They just seem to be everywhere, singing from the reeds, and of course very difficult to see. I think I managed to get a little bit of footage of one singing, but it was only very, very brief. But still, it's always difficult to capture Chetties, so I'll call that a win. It's Tuesday the 9th of April and we made a spontaneous visit to Llanelli Wetlands. We've been seeing on their Facebook page and on some of the other groups I'm a member of on Facebook that there are quite a few interesting birds being seen here over the last week or so. Little gull, little ring plover, some willow tits, all of which would be really exciting. I don't think I've ever seen a willow tit, so I'd especially like to see that. So we decided to take the opportunity because the weather looked pretty good, and we've headed straight for the observatory hide, where you often don't see very much, but we've already seen bird number 99, which is a common sandpiper, which is out there on a little bit of kind of flat rock doing its thing, bobbing its tail up and down, which is a really good way of identifying common sandpipers. And then just behind that bit of rock, there's a group of black-tailed godwits, which are in full breeding plumage, which look amazing, and that's bird 100, yay! So we passed the first big landmark. We've only just arrived there, so I'm sure there'll be more to see. It's been a busy day so far. We've ended up in British Steelhide, and there are many black-tailed godwits, which is really exciting to see. They look very impressive when they're flying, and yeah, huge flocks of them just milling about on the grass. Quite a few redshanks all grouped out on the flats beyond the hide, and another common sandpiper, just in case we needed confirmation. Lots of ducks everywhere, and yeah, still only the two new ones so far. No sign of any little gulls, sadly, but maybe we'll see one at Minsmere later this year. So we've ended up just outside Peterscott Hyde, and there are some bird feeders just across the water. And we did know in advance that there have been sightings of willow tits around these feeders, so we thought it would be a good place to camp out for a few minutes and have a look. And lo and behold, there seem to be several willow tits coming in and using the feeders. They're beautiful little birds. I've never seen them before, so it's another lifer for me, and of course another tick for the year. I honestly would have to confess that I don't think I'd have been able to confidently identify them, because they're almost identical to another species called the marsh tit, and there are some very subliminal differences between the two. Apparently willow tits have a slightly more matte kind of black head, whereas a marsh tit's head is a little bit more glossy, and there's some slight differences between the black under their bill. But yeah, as I say, it would be difficult to tell in the field. But I'm guessing the people at Llanelli WWT are pretty sure about this. They've been talking about them, but they are very cute, and I'm very happy to have seen them. And they've rounded off a very lovely day here at Llanelli Wetlands again. It's Saturday the 20th of April and it's a gorgeous sunny day. It's the first day I've actually felt warm without a coat of the year, so yay for that. We are in Somerset. We've come to stay here for a week. We're staying in a little holiday lodge near Axminster, and we drove down yesterday and were treated to gorgeous views across the levels, which is all very exciting. Hoping to see some different species here. For our first day today, we're going to RSPB Ham Wall, where we've been once before. It's an amazing reserve. It's quite big. It's got like marshy, sort of reed beddy areas and all sorts. We're hoping for some egrets and maybe some marsh harriers if we're lucky. Let's see what Ham Wall has in store for us. We're about halfway through our day and it's been amazing so far. It's a bit chilly but beautifully sunny. There's birdsong everywhere. You can probably hear lots going on around me at the moment. In the background you might be able to hear a reed warbler. I love their songs, they sound like a broken phone. Plenty of the sort of birds you would expect to see here, wildfowl and other water birds, but lots of small birds have arrived for the summer as well. There's been a lot of blackcaps, which are often difficult to see. They've got a beautiful song which you hear a lot in the summer, but seeing them is often tricky. However, managed to get a few shots. There seem to be flocks of them all around when you first come up to where the waterways are. Which is really exciting. We've heard a bittern in the background quite a lot. Not sure if you can hear it at the moment. Yeah, it's there somewhere. It's a long way away. And also one of the specialities of Ham Wall in recent years has been glossy ibis, and there are apparently 4 here this year. We managed to see a couple of them. They're not particularly visible at the moment, but hopefully they'll come out a bit later on in the day if we go back to the viewpoint where they are. Dramatic scenes from Avalon Hyde with a marsh harrier fighting off a buzzard. today is Sunday the 21st of April and it's a little bit more cloudy today, but it's still pleasant spring weather. After all the excitement of Ham Wall yesterday, we're driving down to the south coast today to somewhere called Sutton Wetlands, which we've never been to before. It looks like it's a series of different places with a few hides and a couple of little nature trails. So yeah, let's find out what's in Sutton. Just sitting in what I think is called Tower Hide, which overlooks one of the big lagoons, and seen a lot of the usual wetland birds. There's a lot of gulls out on the estuary, all different species, including great blackback, which, although aren't rare, are always exciting to see. I've just seen the first sedge warbler of the year, which I believe is bird number 112 on the big ear, so yay for another new species. And also a lovely little long-tailed tit, which is obviously building a nest, and it found a feather that was probably a little bit too big for it, and yeah, disappeared into the undergrowth. It's mid-afternoon and we've just got back from Sutton, and Sutton Wetlands was really good. A very diverse little nature reserve with plenty of hides and some nice easy walking, highly recommended. Out on the common we did see some interesting birds, including some pheasants. There were a couple of males who were both showing off as they do at this time of year. Some stone chats as well, actually landing on the tram overhead lines, which is really bizarre. Sutton has a tram line, so you're constantly hearing these little kind of tram horns while you're walking around the reserve. We then went to the last hide we hadn't looked in before, which is a little hide right out in the middle of one of the lagoons, and there were a pair of other sets that one of the kind of staff of the reserve had told us about. Apparently they've been trying to nest, but something's stopping them. We did see a fox earlier in the morning, so perhaps the fox has been scuppering their nesting. But it was nice to see them, and a really great tick for the year list. Then we went for lunch on the beach at Lyme Regis, classic, very different from what we've been doing so far. We looked out to sea, there weren't many birds around, especially on a Sunday afternoon. But further out to sea, towards the Isle of Wight, we did see a few gannets circling and diving, so that's another good one for the list. We'll probably see some of those later this week, certainly later in the year, but it's good to have them ticked. I'm not sure what we're doing tomorrow, but we think it may involve Portland Bill, which I am very excited about. I haven't been there since I was a kid, and it always held a bit of a mythical status. So yeah, hopefully it'll deliver something for us tomorrow. We'll see you there. It's Monday, April the 22nd, and instead of going to Portland Bill, which was our original plan, we've decided to reschedule because the weather looks a bit iffy today, and we've come to Chard Reservoir, which is only just down the road from where we're staying. There's some lovely woodland here. We've already seen lots of woodland species. We are particularly on the hunt for marsh tits. Apparently there's been a pair here over the last few weeks, so we're crossing our fingers. There's a big reservoir, obviously, and we're expecting to see lots of the typical kind of lake wetland birds, like great crested grebes, of which there seem to be many in Somerset at this time of year. So yeah, let's go on a hunt for some marsh tits. We spent a bit of time in the Hyde, looking out across the lake. There was some tench, we think, swimming around in the water just below the Hyde. They seemed enormous, and a lady with her granddaughter came in and started feeding them bits of bread, so we got a good look. Sadly, no sign of marsh tits, although we've seen lots of birds in the woods near the lake. No actual marsh tits. There is another possibility of marsh tits later this year at a place called Tally Abbey, near where we live in West Wales, so I'll hopefully see them there. And I think there is a vague possibility of them being at Minsmere, but we'll find out over the next few months, but sadly not today. It's just started to rain. We're going to head back to the cottage and just spend an afternoon chilling out there, and Portland Bill is back on the schedule for tomorrow. It's Tuesday the 23rd of April and we've just arrived at Portland Bill in Dorset, which is a renowned spot for migrating birds, especially in the spring, so just hoping we're going to see something interesting. Having left so early in the morning to get here, it's now only 5 to 10 and it feels like we've done a whole day's birding. Portland Bill is a beautiful place, and we're so lucky that it's sort of sunny and mostly quite still here today. We haven't seen anything really unusual yet, but there are lots of birds about, and it's quite exciting to get some really good views. We've just seen some linnets, which are kind of heathland birds. We do get those in West Wales, but I don't think I've seen them quite so numerous and clear as they are here. We've also had some good pipit views, two different types of pipits. Meadow pipit, which is the common one, and we see those a lot at home, anywhere again where there's sort of heathland or grassland. But there's also a few rock pipits around in the quarry area down near the tip of the bill. Rock pipits are similar looking to meadow pipits. They've kind of still got the speckled chest, but the speckles are really kind of washed out, and the whole bird has a bit more of a sort of a grey, washed out look to it compared to the sort of brown, more crisp look of a meadow pipit. Out to sea there's a lot of birds as well. We've seen some gannets really quite close to the coast, which is amazing, and quite a few auks floating on the sea. I think some of them are nesting in the cliffs as well. Auks are the family of birds that puffins come from, but the two types of auks we've been seeing here are guillemots and razorbills, which are ostensibly quite similar, black backs and white breasts and black heads. The main difference is their bill. Razorbills have like a big broad bill, like an old type razor, and guillemots have a smaller pointier bill, or a narrower pointier bill, and are slightly less black. It's quite subtle, but the razorbills are definitely more strong black, whereas guillemots are more kind of grey browny black. But yeah, loads of birds around. We're just going to wander back down to the car park and have a very early lunch. It's Wednesday the 24th of April and it's another gloriously sunny day so far. After a lovely little walk at Radipole Lake yesterday afternoon, we've decided today to head up to the north coast of Somerset to Steart Marshes, which is a WWT reserve. Sounds like there's some good birds around at the moment, so we're excited. well, apart from the fact that it's an amazing sunny day, Steart Marshes is beautiful. The WWT have done a really good job. They worked in conjunction with the Environment Agency to create this wetland, partly as like a flood defence. It's like a good cheap way of protecting the land from rising sea levels, while also creating like a haven for nature, which is double bonus. We've only just started walking around one part of the reserve so far, and we've already seen a couple of marsh harriers sort of doing some kind of acrobatics in the sky. And we just walked along this path to there's like a field of cows behind me, and when we arrived there were 5 cattle egrets in and amongst the cattle doing their thing. The cows moved and scared the cattle egrets off and they all flew away. But yeah, they were being very confiding and didn't seem to be bothered by us at all. Just come out of Quantock Hyde, which is the last hyde that we're visiting here in Steart. It's an amazing reserve, it's huge. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. We had a good finale in the Quantock Hyde, loads of other sets. And the cutest of all Otherset chicks, which are just adorable. They're just like little tiny balls of fluff and lots of leg, and they just go running around on their own. Parents are very trusting. Yeah, really cute to see those. But also, a guy from Ham Wall the other day suggested that if you go in Quantock Hyde at Steart Marshes and look on the pebbles, you'll see a little ringed plover, which was very specific instruction, but he was absolutely right. There's a pair of little ringed plovers. One seems to be sitting on eggs, if you can spot it, and then the other one's kind of roaming around. We saw it a little bit closer to the hide at one point. So that's a new one for the big year, yay! Probably our last of the week maybe, although we're still going to Arn tomorrow, so you never know, something new might crop up. Hello Mama. It's Thursday the 25th of April, and we had originally planned to go to RSPB Arn today, but we kind of figured that like whatever we might have seen at Arn, the chances are we'll probably see in Suffolk when we go and stay there, because we're going to go to Minsmere a lot, and I think there's a lot of similar habitats. So what we thought we'd do instead, and also because it was a little bit nearer where we're staying, is come back to this area where RSPB Ham Wall is, which is the Avalon Marshes. It's a huge area. We hadn't quite realised how big an area it is. And there's a sort of central visitor centre called the Avalon Marshes Centre. And that's where we've driven today. It's just been raining for the last 10 minutes or so of the journey, but I'm sure it's going to clear up. There are patches of blue sky out there. But yeah, we're going to investigate this visitor centre and see what there is around. There's lots of little mini kind of nature reserves around the place that you can easily drive to, some of which you can walk to. There's Shapwick Heath, which I think is the one directly next to Ham Wall. I'm sure we'll pop back to Ham Wall as well, just to go and have a look off the viewpoint. But yeah, we'll see what Avalon Marshes has in store. So the rain beat us. We did have a little walk, but it rained pretty much the whole way. But we had an amazing lunch. And now we've come back to Ham Wall. Oh, mallard. Obviously to see birds, but also with the added bonus of ice cream and biscuits. It's working out well so far. We've just heard a bittern. And I saw a lovely female blackcap, which I tried to get my camera on, but I was holding a chocolate biscuit in the other hand and it didn't really work. There's a few interesting reports of birds that have come in since we were here earlier in the week. But yeah, we're just enjoying it. The rain stopped, the sun is almost out. See what's around. Well, RSPB Ham Wall has delivered again. Managed to see 39 species so far in about an hour without really trying, which is amazing. We've got 3 new ones I saw from VP1, which is the main sort of viewing platform that you get to near the beginning. 4 hobbies flying in, which I didn't get any footage of because I was too busy trying to identify them before they disappeared. They were flying very fast. And then we just walked down to, I can't remember the name of the other little viewing platform sort of behind VP1. And there were flocks of house martins, first of all, which is the first arrival of those summer visitors that I've seen. We've already had swallows and sand martins have already come, but now house martins are here. And then a little bit further on, some swifts, which are usually the last of our summer visitors to appear. So officially everybody's here for the summer, bird-wise. That was amazing. There were some great crested grebes in that hide as well that were just so close, being very friendly. I've also been continuing my ongoing challenge, which is to capture a Chetty's warbler singing, which is not proving very easy at all. Chetty's warblers are very small brown birds. They're easily mixed up, if you only see them, with reed warblers and garden warblers and even willow warblers and chiffchaffs that are all very like plain looking little brown birds or little grey browny birds. And Chetty's warblers are notoriously like skulky. They just hide in the undergrowth. They sing incredibly loudly with their like deafening outburst of notes, but it's so rare to actually see them doing it. Well, there was one that we did see doing it and I just caught the tail end, and then I managed to get some footage of it just sitting still, which in itself is quite a treat. Bit of a challenge. Maybe by the end of summer I'll have one, we'll see. Meanwhile, I'm just heading to VB2, which is a bit further along the track, just for a last look before we head back to the Avalon Visitor Centre for more cake and tea, because, well, it's our last day and you can't really have too much of those sorts of treats.